What's good, YouTube? It's your boy JL, he who ascends, and we live, baby. Dig what I'm saying, with another JP reaction video. Without further ado, man, S.T.I.G gang, we finna get straight into it. Let's go.
What do you understand by equality, Sophie? What does it mean to you?
Freedom.
Can you be more? Is it equality of opportunity? Is it equal pay across the board? Is it something more than that?
I think equality is better for everyone. I
Yeah,
think,
okay.
I'm really delighted, I love my job because it's an optimistic and a hopeful job, which is about creating more choices for people. I'm interested in people being able to have different choices and having equality of outcome.
Aha, well, so you're going to have choices and equality of outcome. What if
Real super quick, man. Y'all peep the facial expression she made the minute she heard Jordan interject there on her last point. She went like shawty already like, oh my God, here we go. She didn't even get to finish her opening statement. Let's keep it going.
people choose different things, which is what they've been doing in Scandinavia? So the Scandinavian countries have moved more towards gender equality than any other countries, and the personality differences in Scandinavia have increased rather than decreased, and the proportion of women who are choosing STEM fields has decreased rather than increased. So as cultures become more gender neutral, the number of women who choose STEM fields decreases.
What do you mean
not
by STEM
increasing.
fields?
So science, technology, engineering, and mathematics.
I
So
think
if you let
actually-
men and women make their choices, what actually happens is that they specialize in different situations,
Could they
and you
not-
don't get equality of
Could they
outcome.
not have been programmed to have the?
That's just really, that's like common sense, bruh. Like, because we're different, because there are inherent differences between men and women, even though overall, if you know, on the Pareto distribution, there's a lot of overlap. We're not like alien to one another, but the things that make us different at the extremes make us incredibly different. Even though we you know, a male and female can laugh about the same things, like the same foods, things of that nature, but from a nature standpoint, from a very intrinsic standpoint that determines pathology and how and you know, how we're wired, it's very, very different. And that's going to affect occupational choice.
Those views from the moment we raise them and give boys Lego and construction?
No,
girls?
because what happens is that as countries get more egalitarian, which means there's less programming of that sort, the differences get larger, not smaller. And the scientific data on that is clear, and most of it was generated by people who have a left-leaning bias, so you can't blame it on conservative scientists. It was a shock to everyone to find that out.
Sophie,
I think the difference between Jordan and me is that we look at
Yeah, let me touch on that before she makes her response, because what he's basically saying is that in Scandinavia, they were trying to address this issue of inequality in the workplace especially. They were trying to figure out how they could get women to go into STEM, right, which is science, technology, engineering, mathematics, because it's overrepresented. STEM is overrepresented in that there's a lot more men in that field than there are women. But this is the thing. So what they did is they try to make what they did in their society is they made things a lot more gender neutral. But what that did was very surprising, because they thought that in doing so is that there would be you know, women and men, it would equalize the sort of inequality in these particular occupations. But what it did is that people just ended up exercising their freedom of choice according to their nature. And what happened is that it actually increased, you know, the differences from an occupational standpoint. Basically what women wanted to do versus what men wanted to do, they naturally just ended up going into their roles. Women ended up choosing more hospitable jobs, and men went out and, you know, chose jobs that were focused and more oriented towards things, you know, and managerial positions, things of that nature, where they have to sell, you know, like where they have to give up 100 hours of their life in order to, you know, to have those, to occupy those particular type of jobs. So That's what he's talking about. Now, Shawty's about to respond to that. Let's keep it pushing. Oh, and then real quick, dude was saying, well, isn't that a result of like basically indoctrination, media saying that this is what men should do and women should do? And it's like, well, you know, the collective, in part, there is a case for that. There is programming, but you know, in Scandinavia especially, that's not the case. And over here as well, regardless of programming, people still have freedom of choice. You dig what I'm saying? It's not like, if it was programming, then why aren't we programming women to get into STEM and just make it more egalitarian? So at the end of the day, that's a disingenuous and stupid rebuttal to say that it's like programming, because if that's the case and we're trying to make things more equal, then it's like, if it's programming, why isn't that programming working and making society in terms of opportunity of jobs? Why aren't we equalizing that already? Why isn't that programming working as well? It's obvious that the freedom of choice, the intrinsic free will that is in every man and woman, is where in the real world, not what you're seeing play out on online. People are actually doing inherently, or people are inherently walking according to the tune of their DNA and their nature. All right, so now let's keep it pushing.
Evidence, and we lean towards different theories. So Jordan's theory is very much evolutionary, you know, that there are inherent differences in men and women. Mine is very much more social role theory, if you like, and that men and women are taking on different roles due to the expectations that society puts on them. And it's interesting that Jordan frequently cites Scandinavian countries where they've made more, like, there's nowhere in the world that women are equal, but Scandinavia has made the most progress towards shared parenting, etc.
Yep.
That said, it's not done yet. There's nowhere in the world where this is done yet.
But it's having the opposite effect that the gender equality types predicted. Opposite, not the same. And it isn't a theory, it's actually data driven by tens of thousands of surveys and the best scientific literature on the topic. It's not a theory, and I didn't come about it because of my political perspective. I looked at the data. What it showed was that as countries become more egalitarian, the differences between men and women grow. They don't shrink.
So what I'm interested in is data and analysis as well, and I'm particularly interested in the ones presented, such as the ones by the University of Southern California, which discovered that change towards gender equality is actually being slowed by beliefs that are legitimizing social inequalities on the basis of sex. And I'm also interested, I mean, like Jordan, I look at the data and I look at the studies, and I'm really also very much interested in studies like the analysis that was done by the American Psychological Society, which looked at 45 analysis of whether there's sex difference over 20 years. And its conclusion was that men and women are basically alike in terms of personality, in terms of cognitive ability, in terms of leadership. But what it did find was that media depictions of men and women as fundamentally different perpetuate misconceptions, as does workplace bias.
Oh God, so it's my fault.
So, no, well, you know, you're leaving soon. It's
men and women actually are more the same than they are different. But the issue is that small differences at the population level can turn into very large differences at the extreme. So, for example, men and women are broadly similar with regards to aggression, although men tilt a little bit more towards aggression. So that if you picked a random person out of the population, male and female, and you guessed that the male was more aggressive, you'd be right 60% of the time. But if you take the 1 in 100 most aggressive people, they're all male. And that's why the overwhelming proportion of people who are in prisons are male. Now, do you want to equalize that, just out of curiosity? What about bricklayers? They're 99% male. And we've got about 3/4 of the population now in universities in the humanities and social sciences are female.
Yeah.
Are we going to equalize that? And men work longer hours, they work more dangerous jobs, they're more likely to move, they're more likely to work outside, they're more likely to participate in jobs in the STEM fields that are scalable, they make more money for those reasons, and that's all hidden under the idea that the reason that men and women make different amounts of money is because of their gender. It's a very simplistic analysis, and trying to address
I was just going to say, Sophie, can you come back on that?
What I'm trying to equalise is opportunity and choice.
Fine.
Damn. Just put the nail on the coffin, bro. Good God, like that man. Yo, man, killing Shawty, like it's crazy. Now, man, he made some really powerful points there, because what can happen is the popular narrative is a very simplistic narrative, but it's powerful. Is oh, it's men and women, and I'm gonna show y'all how to uncover divisiveness. In my humble opinion, a lot of these conversations are dumb, and what happens is that people, representatives or like thought leaders of these particular topics and of these particular movements are purely being used in order to create and just propagate this sort of division. You know what I'm saying? Even what Jordan said was actually a very powerful point, because he said, what I'm saying is not theory. This isn't just something that I think as a result of my political views. That's like a profound statement. That's like actually one of the most profound things he said in this video, because what he's saying is that my outlook, my opinion on this matter is purely from looking at the data and letting it tell me what it's saying. I'm not formulating my own view or reading into the data or looking for data that supports how I feel. This is what this information is, that's been done, particularly in Scandinavia, as it pertains to like equality of outcome. This is what it shows, regardless of what my political view is. Shawty, on the other hand, it's not consistent over there. She has an emotional view, you feel what I'm saying, about this topic, and has gone to look for information that supports that. So she's saying, oh, it's the media that's exacerbating these particular biases. And just the point that I made before, if that was true, then it's like, why aren't women, there's only particular jobs though, and occupations where that rhetoric of equality of outcome is even being spoken about. And it's it's the CEO, it's the office, it's the Oval Office, it's that particular kind of job. It's president. I'm trying to rule. I'm trying to, run a country for once. It's been men the entire time, right? And bruh is saying like, yo, men are willing to work more hours. So, if we live in a free market where it's based off of supply and demand of the market itself, that's the economy that we live in. Then it's like, it's criteria based. Who's willing to meet the criteria? So it's like, who's gonna work the hours required? A man is probably gonna outwork your ass. You know what I'm saying? Now there's a lot of women out there let me not say a lot, but there's a margin of women that will outwork a man. But overall, a man will work longer hours. This is statistics. This ain't even how I feel. Like, men will work longer hours, they'll work harder jobs. One, because they're physiologically fit and designed to do so. You know what I'm saying? So on, and so forth. So it's like, that has nothing to do with inequality. It has everything to do with the freedom of will that people have, and then people just fitting into the roles that ultimately correlate with how it is that they're designed, and then their overall values and interests. Most women aren't interested in running no company. Most. Now there's a small, minute few, but that's like 1%. And then even those women, we'll actually look at we'll do some reactions to women who were in these positions, and you'll hear the things that they talk about, which are innately feminine. Like, bruh, like, I was just working all the time. Like, all my interpersonal relationships were some shit. You know what I'm saying? I didn't get to see family or friends or nothing like that. I ended up quitting. Highly intelligent women. These women, highly intelligent.
That's equalized choice.
You agree on that.
But we won't get equal outcome that way.
And I think that what happens then, nobody knows, because we've never done it yet.
We do know. We know what's happened in Scandinavia.
But it's not fully got there yet.
No, but it's going in the opposite direction that everyone predicted, and strongly.
I think one of the things I loved about Jordan's book, which I speed read last night, so forgive me, Jordan, I've not read every line.
We do know.
But one of my favourite rules in Jordan's book is Rule 9, which says, assume the person you are listening to might know something you don't. Mm-hmm. And I think that in a country where men outnumber women by 2 to 1 in Parliament, in local government, where women's voices are not equally represented in media, where our education systems still are teaching boys and girls ideas of pink and blue, what I'm trying to do is work with thousands of optimistic, hopeful people for change.
Okay. You kept very quiet through this, Michael. I'm going to make you put you under a bit of pressure. Do forgive me. I'm going to come to the calls in a moment. Your boss called the gender pay gap a burning injustice. Is it?
Yes, it is, because there should be inequality of opportunity.
I forgot
there
there was
needs
even
to
a
be
third
the
person
same
in
rights.
this
But you know, something that surprised
outcomes,
me,
quality of
that
outcome.
neither of you, and
Go on.
equality of outcome, sure, all of that. But the
I'm
one
sorry,
thing both of you
Buzz
haven't
hair.
mentioned is the biological difference, which unfortunately affects women's career prospects, whether we like
Babies
it or not.
and so on, yeah.
Babies. And that does cause a problem. You know, if I were to take a sabbatical from a corporation for a while, it's going to set me back slightly. And it is a problem that biologically it's
problem.
women who have babies, not men.
This is what it is.
Sure, but that's why we are the Women's Equality Party is the only party in the UK that's got policies around shared parental leave.
She's so political.
We're the only party that has got fully costed plans for universal free childcare. What we're saying is that
You're trying to
and
change the
we're trying to
outcomes.
change the outcomes, and also men are joining our party. Men who are
I
really
think-
As I said,
tired.
you've
And I'm
got
sure I'm
my-
going to have a word with Michael because I am sure he'll want the application.
Okay,
we take joint
forgive me, I want
membership.
to take one call if
But-
you'll forgive me, because time is
Sure.
really short, and I owe it to the viewers to hear their views on this.
We've got Salim calling from Manchester.
Salim, good morning.
Hi Matthew, how you doing?
I'm very well, loving it. I'm pig in heaven today. What do we think about equality? Will it ever happen, Salim?
I was going to say I thought it was going to happen, but after listening to Jordan, he's swayed my opinion.
Oh, no. Why did you
Yeah.
why did you think it was going to happen?
Because I think we're going to become more cognitive.
Yo, do you see this British dude or UK like dude's reactions like he's on a comedy sketch show or something? Like the persona is like throwing me off, bro, because it's like, are you even really dealing with like or are you, is there any genuineness in any of the stuff that's being spoken about here, or is this just like good for ratings? Now, I'm gonna keep it 1,000. A lot of these news outlets and things of that nature, they don't even really give a damn about like the stuff folk be on there talking about for real. It's purely controversial because they know it's going to get them ratings. You know, the news at one point really did used to cover the news, but they also need funding and money as well, bruh. So it's like they be having to spice this stuff up. So they got this zany dude on there. It's like throwing me off. You know, Charlie Chaplin looking at.
Creatures, and jobs are going to be more about mental skills.
Technology.
But then I've been visited schools, and I work in STEM. I'm a software developer, and the number of women doing software development hasn't increased. I would have thought they would have increased more, but I went into secondary school to do GCSE IT stuff, and there's very, very few girls doing IT, and I was thinking IT is the future, and the schools are pushing for more girls to go into IT, but there's only I visited about 8 schools.
Can I
and
just,
thought-
sorry, Salim, can I just
Go on,
no, because I'm 30 seconds. Sophie's idea, actually, representations in the media could be affected.
A girl ain't gonna go do no IT. A girl's like, bro, I'm gonna just wait for that man who's making $150,000, $200,000 to come out of there with his certification, get a job, and I'm a hitchhike. You dig what I'm saying? I'm gonna marry him, and then we gonna be good. Like, I don't need. Why would I go and study and do all that when I can just bag me a dude who done all that hard work?
Such choices. Geeks, we see geeks, bespectacled blokes with bad hair on computers. That's what tech means, isn't it?
Yeah, and you're absolutely right, because I think actually that one of the other things we want to do is to have a look at curriculums, to have more female role models, to encourage girls, because so long as we still see STEM as a boys area that we're trying to get girls into, it's not going to work. We need to do the work we're doing on care, get more boys thinking about, nursing, teaching, more role models for boys in schools.
And
that's the way you break it all
on
down.
programs like EastEnders, The Archers, that's helped them a lot.
Right, so listen, I have to draw things to a conclusion. Can I just say how wonderful, 3 people, diverse political
Bro right here just had to say something, because this entire interview, like, bro ain't said nothing. They ain't been worried about nothing he has to say. I don't even know why they got this guy on here. It literally looks like they they got him from the back and said, "Hey, and you want to be a part of this panel real quick?" So he's just trying to catch like something in there to prove that, you know, to showcase that he was there. He's going crazy, bro.
Diverse views on many other issues that get along famously and have wonderful conversations. Thank you. That is exactly the ambition that I have for this show. So Jordan, good luck with the book. It is out now. It's called 12 Rules for Life.
All right, man, I'm gonna end it there, y'all, man, for real. But man, this jail, you did what I'm saying. We going straight to the top. You did what I'm saying. You feel me? Peace, love, and purpose. We ain't with that happiness. Happiness is fleeting. You heard me?